What's up, One Piece fans? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys, as you guys can tell, another discussion video. This time we're talking about the next piece of One Piece. This video was suggested on my Discord after I asked for a few suggestions for 2023 videos, and we'll try to get to them all. But right now, let's talk about Monkey D. Garp. As you guys can tell from that title, we're talking about the man, the myth, the legend, the hero of the Marines, Vice Admiral Extraordinaire, the Fist, versus the Yonko Blackbeard, Marshal D. Teach, the only man known to have not one, but two devil fruit abilities. Taking all bets. Do I hear 500,000 on Garp? Do I hear 550 on Blackbeard? 550. Do I hear 600? 600. Do I hear a million? 1.2? What? 1.3? 100 million berries. Oh my God, that is what the community is doing right now, ladies and gentlemen. That is what is happening. We got a huge spectrum in the community talking about Blackbeard versus Garp. It's all the way from death flags, old man, mentor character dying, Garp, red flag alert, no diff, Blackbeard gonna kill him, all the way to Garp is going to absolutely demolish and destroy the pirate paradise. He's going to rescue Wang Ji, and he's going to destroy and kill about 3 to 4 of the Titanic captains, and Blackbeard's going to be captured. I've heard from all the way from that all the way to the other and everything in between on the spectrum. You guys must have been seeing them with all the different One Piece YouTubers out there, myself included. I've watched no less than 8 videos, and streams included, on this topic, on people's opinions, and I've seen it on Discord, I've seen it on Reddit, and as I said, there's no consensus in the community. It's all over the place. This is a rainbow of a spectrum talking about what's going to happen when Garp fights Blackbeard. Now, this video is going to be sectioned off into a couple of different sections. One, we're going to talk about the actual fight itself. We're going to talk about how the fight's going to go down. We're also going to talk about the different aspects of the fight. We're going to talk about both combatants' hockey, devil fruits, their crews, and one other quick thing that we're going to talk about right here, right now. We are assuming that Garp versus Blackbeard is happening at all. I know, I'm making a video just like everybody else about Garp versus Blackbeard, but at the end of chapter 1071, the reason this whole thing is happening is because Garp said he's going to Hajinosu. He's going to go to Hajinosu with his crew on his ship. He's going to go to the pirate paradise. He's going to kick some pirate ass, and he's going to rescue Kobe. That's what Garp says he's going to go do. Granted, that's where all this stemmed from. But I didn't see Blackbeard and Garp squaring off at the end of chapter 1071. I saw him saying, we're going to the home base of Yonko. When was the last time we saw Blackbeard? He wasn't on Hajinosu. He was actually fighting against Law. And before that, he was on Amazon Lily. Blackbeard's out in the world right now. He's not at Hajinosu. Granted, we don't know what the timeline is because Oda doesn't tell us. And we don't know when Garp said this, when he's leaving, how long he's going to take to get there, and where that lines up with Blackbeard. So I'm just saying the community as a whole has made a huge assumption that Blackbeard and Garp are actually going to cross paths in the first place. Garp might show up to Hajinosu, beat the shit out of 3 or 4 Titanic captains, level the goddamn island, take Kobe in peace. And Blackbeard's going to be like, what the fucking hell? What the hell happened? That's entirely possible. I'm just saying. So with that out of the way, let's go and talk about the other sections. Why don't we start off with the big one, the hockey. So let's talk about hockey. Let's go right into hockey, and we'll start with Blackbeard. Now granted, Blackbeard has been confirmed now of some of the latest chapters in the Amazon Lily fight and stuff like that he does in fact have armament hockey. And it seems to be quite strong. He did block S-Hawk's blade. Now we don't really know how powerful S-Hawk is. He did cut a mountain in half. The Seraphim Hawkeye, of course. And I would argue that his armament hockey is pretty good. At the very least, it's not some F tier armament hockey. It's got to be at least some B tier grade quality because he stopped S-Hawk. Though Blackbeard, once again, when he vulcanized, he was sweating. And I believe this was the first confirmation that he even had armament hockey to begin with. So we have to give him armament hockey. But we didn't see any indication that he has advanced Haki, and we'll talk about why maybe Blackbeard's Haki isn't exactly his priority here in a minute. Moving on from his arm and Haki, because that's really the only example we know of, unless something was revealed in a Viva card I'm not aware of. We saw him use it once, and he used stage 1, or the original, the vulcanization style, and he was still sweating when Seraphim Hawkeye came at him, so okay. And then the other form that we know he's got is Observation Haki. Granted, the only time he really used it was back in like Jaya, and that's really all we've seen of it since. From what I'm remembering, there might have been another example, but we don't really see Blackbeard using Haki. You know what I mean? So I'll grant him, once again, I have to. I'm going to grant him that he's got. All right, let's give him C, B tier Observation Haki. Let's assume he's improved on it a little bit, you know, since Jaya, and it's pretty. It's not top tier, but it's not bottom tier. It's average. It's pretty good Haki, right? Pretty good observation, pretty good armament. Well, that's what we'll give. And I'm gonna give another boon because I'm gonna give it to our other combatant Garp. I'm gonna assume, and I'm gonna grant this, that Blackbeard has at least the first level of Conqueror's Haki. We've never seen him use it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he has it, right? But I'm going to grant the same thing to Garp, though there's a lot more evidence, and we'll get to that Garp has it. That's as far as I can go. There's not really a whole lot more to talk, and that's why we're starting with Blackbeard. We have 1 to 2 examples of Observation Haki, nothing like Katakuri or Luffy levels that we've seen, or Rayleigh or anybody like that. And Armin Haki, we saw him use it once, and it was stage 1, and he was still sweating while using it. So there's 2. That's it. And I'll give him Conquerors, but I got no reason to give him advanced Conquerors or anything. So that's Blackbeard in a nutshell. Granted, I am going to say that we will move on to Devil Fruits after we finish the Haki discussion. Blackbeard does focus. He focuses on Devil Fruit Mastery over Haki. I'm led to believe that. I think a lot of the community will agree with me that, like fan favorite Crocodile, focused much more so, and once again, this is more of the story running so long and stuff like that, but this isn't a Crocodile discussion on power scaling. This is Blackbeard. I believe that, like Crocodile before him, mastering his Devil Fruit was more of his priority. So, like a video game, like an RPG with level caps and only so many allotted points to put into things, but you have 3 trees to choose from. You have Warrior, Mage, and Rogue. You know, sometimes you have to invest all your points. If you spread them out too much, you're not really going to reach the top echelon of anything, right? You won't be weak, but you'll never reach Warrior Mastery and be able to use the best sword. You won't be able to use the strongest spell. You won't be able to, you know, if you don't actually allocate all your points in one tree. And that's sort of, I'm assuming, and that's what I've been led to believe, that's sort of how Haki and Devil Fruits are working in a regard. Not saying that you can't do both, but for some people who are trying to level up quickly and get to the finish line as fast as possible, Blackbeard might have played the waiting game for a long, long time, but I just don't know really what he was doing that whole time, because I feel like he put most of his eggs and most of his points in the Devil Fruit basket. And that's not necessarily wrong, especially for the only man who has 2 Devil Fruits. But I think that's basically what he did. So we'll talk more about Blackbeard's Devil Fruits and the dangers of those Devil Fruits in the Devil Fruit section, of course. But why don't we move on to the other combatant? Let's move on to Garp. Now, before we get into Garp's Haki, because we just talked about Blackbeard's, let's just talk about one key thing right in the middle here, said by one of the former Yonko, Kaido of the Beast, no less. The strongest creature in the world. That's his epithet. That's who he is. He's Kaido the Dragon. He's the unkillable monster. And ironically, similar to Blackbeard, who values Devil Fruit abilities, granted very powerful Devil Fruit abilities, and ironically, his entire crew is based not even just in Devil Fruits, but zone specifics. Kaido doesn't even believe what he preaches, it seems, or believe what he shows by action, because he's the one to say in Wano when he's fighting Luffy and showing his Hall of Fame and showing all this stuff, he believes that to master the seas, to be the best, you need to be a master of hockey. Devil fruits, you reach a plateau with devil fruits. Devil fruits aren't the answer. Hockey is the answer. Not that devil fruits are weak or they don't add to it, because he himself has the Azura Dragon, but Kaido himself values hockey over devil fruits. Take that what you will, but why don't we talk about Garp's hockey right here, right now? Because let's just showcase what we know he's got. We know he's got observation, and we know he's got armament. But once again, we haven't seen a whole lot of feats from him. And just like I did with Blackbeard and granted Conquerors, I'm going to grant Garp Conquerors. Now, the difference between just giving Blackbeard Conquerors because I feel bad for him is there's so much fucking evidence that Garp not only has advanced armament and observation, that he's not only got Conquerors, but it's got to be Kaido level, it's got to be advanced Conquerors. And here's the reason why. Man got no devil fruit. He's got no devil fruit, and yet he is the rival to Roger. Now, once again, this is not a power scaling video necessarily. This is a versus. But are we going to finally deny? And we'll talk about the slander of Garp later on. We'll talk about the slander and how people have been slandering Garp. Nobody else but slandering Garp in the community for a decade strong. And why they were full of shit. And Oda has shown us multiple times. But we'll get to that. Fact of the matter is that this man rivaled Roger. And if you're still one of those outliers that go, no, 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 well, too bad, so sad, go home, read something else. He is the rival to Roger. He was in Roger's tier. And by proxy, that means he was also in Whitebeard's level. He's Yonko level Marine. That's what he is. He's as strong as Roger. His hockey has got to be that level. And the sole reason is, that's all Garp has. He's got no devil fruit to master. So Garp's hockey needed to be as good as the king of the fucking pirates to be able to fight him toe-to-toe, which Roger himself confirmed. We've nearly killed each other countless times. He said it himself. He fought with him over the decades. He fought with Whitebeard. He fought with these guys. He fought at God Valley. How he got his title of Hero of the Marines. A lot of people slandering Garp once again, how he got that title, and we'll move on to that at another date. But fact of the matter is we've been told the man is the hero. We've been told time and time again that he was the danger, he was the best. And he's one of the strongest Marines, and he was the rival to the two of the strongest pirates of the last 50 years. So there's just no other explanation that the man had to have had. As Kaido stated, you need to reach a point. Luffy was using his observation hockey and his advanced armament. He was using these high-level hockeys. That wasn't good enough. He needed to learn advanced conquerors to actually have a shot against Kaido, and Kaido was impressed. Like, now you got it. Now you know how to do it. I'm going to go out on a limb, considering the Odin flashback, that without advanced conquerors like Whitebeard and Roger had, you just can't match them without it. There's no way to clash with these monsters, these pirate legends, without having hockey in that league. So whether it's confirmed or not, you have to. I don't know anybody who's actually going to say that any form of hockey that Blackbeard has, Garp isn't superior in every way. The only detriment I could see would be his age. The one detriment that I have heard about, the one detriment that people have actually said, is Garp's age. That's the one thing. That's the only thing that can make me believe that his hockey doesn't, not just is better than Blackbeard's, but would absolutely dwarf. And a hockey clash alone, there is no contest. The only argument I have seen that's valid in any way, shape, or form is Garp's age. He's old. He's fucking old. He's not prime Garp anymore, to use a term. Now, the reason I'm going to argue against that, yes, Garp has gotten weaker. I'm sure he has. And I'm sure his hockey has gotten weaker over the years. I'm sure his hockey isn't as strong as it used to be. However, unlike the other two top-tier hockey masters, Whitebeard and Rayleigh, in that same age group, in that same 77, 78 years old age group, right? There's a difference. Rayleigh is retired. And he's been retired for decades. He's not active anymore. So there's no there's no way to keep his form. There's no reason. He's just a badass on his own, but even he complains about getting old and stuff like that. But he hasn't exactly stretched his legs in a while, right? He's been sitting on his stuff, drinking and gambling. He's still powerful, but he's not keeping active. Whitebeard is dying from old man disease, which, of course, if anybody been reading manga and watching anime for a long time, we all know is tuberculosis. I don't know why. It's always tuberculosis, but he's suffering from old man disease. And that was remarked by Marco and stuff, that his hockey has been declining rapidly and drastically. So Whitebeard is not a good example, and neither is Rayleigh. But Rayleigh managed to scare off Blackbeard by reputation and just a big showing of Conqueror's hockey alone. So, given that, Garp retired only like 2 years ago and somehow is still active. The man never actually retired. He's been an active vice admiral while Whitebeard has been dying and Rayleigh has been retired in the decades since. He never retired. He was still an active Marine going out on his ship and battling pirates. Yes, his age is a detriment. Yes, he's not as strong as his hockey's probably not as strong. I'll give you that. And he's not nearly as strong as he used to be when he was 35, but no man is. No matter how much you keep out, nobody's as strong in their prime as they will be when they're in their 70s. But A, this is anime, and B, if Rayleigh can clash with Kizaru, and evenly, seemingly, and Rayleigh's wasn't Garp level, Rayleigh was below, can we at least agree on that, as far as this conversation is going, then there stands to reason, I'm just pointing it out here, that the only real argument is his age, but we've seen guys that haven't been working out for, we've seen the entire Marine Force and warlords, admirals, everything, just to fight the Whitebeard pirates and Whitebeard alone. And the only other example of the same guy, and he was dying, and then the only other example we see of this is a clash between the guy who hasn't worked out or been active in 30 goddamn years, fighting against an admiral, and holding his own. Now remind me again, Garp has been active in those 20, 30 years. Yeah. Okay. I'm just, as I said, this writes itself. It's not hard to understand that Garp's hockey was, in his prime, had to be at the top echelon, and at worst, it's dropped a tier 2 at best. But Blackbeard hasn't shown me that he was even close in the hockey department to being top tier. We don't have any evidence of that. So that's why I'm going with, as far as hockey goes, Garp completely outclasses him. By at least a tier or better, he's in a different league when it comes to hockey in all three forms. So Blackbeard can't contend with that. I just don't think he can. Moving on, let's go to Devil Fruits. So moving on to Devil Fruits, but this is going to mostly be a Blackbeard section, of course, because, once again, Garp does not have a Devil Fruit. He put all his eggs, like Roger and Rayleigh, put them all in the hockey basket. But Blackbeard, though he put a couple of Easter eggs in a small little basket with the hockey, he put the majority of his and his crew's into Devil Fruits. And not just any Devil Fruits. Oh no, he put them into the powerful ass Devil Fruits. The most powerful paramecia known, Whitebeard's old Guro Guro no Mi, and of course the Yomi Yomi no Mi, one of the most deadly and devastating Logia Devil Fruits, the darkness one. So let's just go down the list. Let's talk about this, because realistically, alright, what can the Yomi Yomi no Mi do? Well, it's much more detrimental to other Devil Fruit users, right? Because the Yomi Yomi no Mi does not make Blackbeard intangible. In fact, apparently, we're still not, I don't know if this was actually confirmed that it's the Yomi Yomi no Mi or just Blackbeard's body, but he suffers pain a lot more than other people, right? And he can't turn intangible with the Yomi Yomi no Mi, but what he can do is, of course, he can negate other people's Devil Fruit powers. So he uses Black Vortex, it's like gravity, it drags them forward, and he can grab them and they can't use their abilities. You know, Logias can't turn intangible, none of that stuff, right? So, that's a big thing. Alright, so that's very, very deadly to a Devil Fruit user. Black Vortex, show up, you can't use your Magma Fist, you can't use your Fire Fist, you can't use your Gum Gum powers, you can't do shit. But, what's that going to do to Garp? What's that going to do to a Hockey Master? What's that going to do to Mihawk or Rayleigh? He's got that. That's not going to do anything. You're going to get up close and personal with the fist? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? That shit is not a great idea. Regardless, we already talked about the hockey section, but is anybody going to sit here and tell me that it's a smart idea for a man who suffers more pain than the average person is going to willingly drag a guy with the epithet of the fist? A fist that broke Don Chinchao's fucking skull, that cracked a goddamn continent in half. The same fist that clashed with Whitebeard and Roger just with Armament Hockey, or if we believe like is probably likely, Advanced Conquerors. He's going to drag that man within punching range? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's a terrible fucking plan from Blackbeard's perspective. So, realistically, the Yomi no Mi, I mean, granted, the absorption stuff, but I don't really think that the gravity, the pulling in, I honestly think Garp's going to pull an Escanor with that and stomp his feet into the ground and be like, yeah, no, I'm not being pulled in by your fucking gravity. So, I really do. Or he's going to be even more badass and just walk forward. Once again, similar to Escanor and Seven Deadly Sins, he's just going to walk towards him. Blackbeard's going to be like, Black Vortex. And Garp's going to be like, huh, what's that, a breeze? He's like, why are you walking towards him? Walking towards what? You know? And then he's just going to grab him and, once again, slam. And if anybody believes that this man, that Garp's fist wouldn't completely shatter every bone in Blackbeard's skull, what? The man who suffers more pain than anybody is going to take a headlong, full-on Armament Hockey, Conqueror's Hockey, whatever you believe, a hockeyed up fist from the fist in his face at point-blank range. That's going to be some Dragon Ball Z level fucking flying through Haji Nosu. He's going to go right through. It'd actually be funny. Garp would probably be like, slam, and then to get him right through the eyeball at Haji Nosu, just right through, boom, he'd be like, score! Did you see that, Helmeppo? Did you see that? You know, it'd be like, yeah, 3 points. He'd be thrilled. That would be Garp. That is exactly what Garp would do. That would be some flying into past the island borders sort of idea. So, yeah, so the Yami Yami no Mi is very detrimental, very deadly, but more so to Devil Fruit users themselves. Hockeyed up masters, I just don't, we haven't seen enough, of course, of him fighting like that, but, I mean, once again, the man did run from both Shanks and Rayleigh, both hockey masters known, and we haven't really seen him try to use it against, you know, just a straight up hockey master, no Devil Fruits involved, so I'm not convinced that that's really the be all and end all like some people are, you know, leveling it up. It's an OP fruit, because so many people in the New World are Devil Fruit users and Devil Fruit Mastery. But what about the ones that aren't? Hence why he's got, granted, the second, the most powerful Paramecia. He's got the Gura Gura no Mi, Whitebeard's fruit. Now, he got that 2 years ago. And he's trained with it. And clearly, he's gotten way stronger with it. More powerful. But if anybody is going to try to convince me that the Gurgur no Mi is very powerful, and Blackbeard's had 2 years to train with it. That's why we haven't seen great hockey from him, probably because he put, once again, all his eggs in the train up his Devil Fruit basket. But you're going to try to convince me that in 2 years, the man got, what, as strong as Prime Whitebeard's mastery with it? No? Excellent. Because Garp clashed with a true master, Whitebeard himself, with the Guru no Mi, not once, not twice, over a span of years, and is still living. So Garp has actually taken everything that Blackbeard can do with the Gura no Mi. Garp has taken it at a stronger level and survived. Clashed with it. So, and like, once again, I don't think an argument can be made that Blackbeard right now has as much mastery or is as powerful as Prime Whitebeard with the Gura no Mi. His Gura no Earthquake Punch is not as strong as Whitebeard's. Maybe at Marineford, sure, but not in his prime, and that's what Garp was fighting. So, the only real thing, he can't win in a hockey clash, the Yomi no Mi's not really doing shit, and then the Gura no Mi, his one defensive and offensive capability to actually hurt Garp. Granted, once again, he's older, he's not Prime Garp anymore, not saying that. But I have a feeling this man is going to Earthquake punch Garp in the face when he Black Vortex gets him up close, and he's going to get the first hit in and be like, ha 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 ha, and then zeh ha ha ha, right? He's going to punch him, and then he's going to go, hey, zeh ha ha, huh? And Garp's just going to, like, he's going to have the fist in the face thing like this, and then it's going to be like, and then he's just going to grab him, pull it back, and be like, that's all you can do after 2 years? Whitebeard would be ashamed. Boom! And you just, maybe some blood, Garp would spit out a tooth and be like, pooh! And be like, that's all you can do, you little pissant? Whitebeard would just be, Whitebeard is rolling over in his grave right now, you know, like, what is that? What was that? You know, like, because remember, Garp took this man head on for years, along with Roger, like, this man. So that's the Devil Fruit category. I don't want to discount, like, Blackbeard's powerful. I'm not saying that. And he is the main antagonist, and he's not a bad written villain or anything, but his hockey's not. I don't think an argument can be made that Garp, as older, yes, his hockey's weaker, but it's not weaker than Blackbeard's, who is focused on Devil Fruits. I don't think that argument can be made. And now when we move on to Devil Fruits, well, one of his 2 Devil Fruits, granted, that's awesome, but one of them, it's like the left hand is meant for fighting Devil Fruit users. Garp isn't one, so this is kind of useless. And then the other one, and all it can do is pull him in, which you don't want to get Garp in punching range. He will atomize you. And then 2 is this one that Garp fought from a stronger user of it and survived. So I don't see, in hockey he loses, in Devil Fruits they aren't gonna do shit. Yeah. So if you guys aren't already aware, I think the next topic is who wins? Well, I think I've made it pretty clear. I think in a fight, who wins? Who's gonna come out on top of this? Well, is it the man who lost to Magellan, ran from Rayleigh, ran from Shanks, or is it going to be the man that clashed with all of them and stronger people than them for decades and didn't stop training, is still on active duty? I mean, the man just ran from Rayleigh. Rayleigh said it was his reputation, and Rayleigh said, I doubt I could win if it was down to the wire and we fought. There's probably, I probably wouldn't win. We can take that as a grain of salt. Shockey didn't believe him, clearly by the indication of the next panel, but let's assume that that's the case. That yes, it'd be a high diff fight, but Rayleigh would lose. Okay. But Garp was stronger than Rayleigh. At their both prime, Garp was the rival of Roger, not Rayleigh. Roger. So, Garp was stronger. Garp isn't weak. Garp didn't retire. And Blackbeard ran away because of the reputation. So he's going to sweat bullets and run from Rayleigh, but he's not going to run from Garp. See, that's the other thing. People are assuming this fight's actually going to happen. Why would it happen? If he ran from Rayleigh, why would he not run from Garp? That doesn't make any sense. Right? And you can argue, well, you know, there was Kobe there, and then there was, Boa was there and stuff like that, and he was all alone. He'll have some Titanic captains around. Yeah, so will Garp. Garp's gonna bring Humphrey fucking Bogart, his right-hand man. And once again, let's go down the roster. The first mates of his rivals. Marco the Phoenix and Silver's Rayleigh. Humphrey goddamn Bogart over here, because that's who he is Bogart, which apparently is a non-canon name, but whatever. Bogart over here is a swordsman. He's gonna get busy with Shiryu. I'm sorry. Are we gonna assume that Garp by himself just all fodder on his crew? None of them are even trained or anything. Bull fucking shit. Bogart over here is the right-hand man for years for the strongest Marine. He's not... we don't know his rank, but I guarantee you Bogart is a force to be reckoned with. He's not... I guarantee you that Garp's crew has seen some shit, and I'm not saying they're all, you know, like some of them are probably rookies, some of them are new recruits. Sure, there is some fodder, but what I'm saying is that in general, yeah, this is just like... there is an argument for, yeah, if all the Titanic captains and Blackbeard fought against Garp, yeah, he'd be overwhelmed, but we're assuming that Garp's going there not with a whole crew of his own, who are not just going to be a bunch of fodder Marines that Luffy one-shot in East Blue. That is not Garp's crew, I guarantee you. So, with that all out of the way, and I wish that light would stop flashing, but I'm not going to re-record this for the 18th goddamn time. Yeah, so clearly I'm betting on Garp, and honestly, I would say mid-diff. 1v1, assuming that they both 1v1. I'm going to bet on Garp, and I would say mid-diff. Now, granted, there's a lot of situations here, and he's trying to go for a rescue operation, not kill Blackbeard, so there is a bunch of that. There's also, as I already talked about, the elephant in the room is the plot armor, that Garp cannot defeat Blackbeard because Blackbeard is Luffy's villain. It's the same reason Sanji will never defeat... you know, Sanji and Zoro are not going to beat Kaido. They're not going to beat Big Mom. They're not going to beat Blackbeard. The reason being because that's Luffy. Luffy has to be the one to do it. In the same sense, Garp can't. Even if he could do it, they're not going to have Garp defeat Blackbeard. They're just not. Oda is not going to do that in the story, regardless of every argument that's going to be made. So, yeah, but once again, he could just roll up. He could just roll up to Hajinosu, destroy it, take Kobe in peace. You know, that might be what Garp does. And I brought up a situation in the review that maybe Garp has a plan, being likely a part of Sword and stuff, and he says, nah, Blackbeard, Kobe's not enough of a hostage. Now, I could lay waste to this whole island, but how about we make a trade? You take me, and you give me Kobe. I said, like, Garp might be playing 3D chess, and Blackbeard's thinking, oh, it's my lucky day, right? Sort of idea. So, because once again, I'm betting on Garp, but this is assuming that a fight even truly breaks out. There might be a couple of clashes, but I think that it's going to end in a much different way. I don't think we're going to see a full-on fight where there's a winner and a loser. I don't think that that's going to be the case. Or there's going to be more to the story if that is the case, right? So, and once again, I think Blackbeard avoids a fight. If this is all, let's go back to the beginning of the video. This is all on the assumption, right, that Blackbeard is going to be at Hajinosu and is going to willingly fight Garp. But even then, we're assuming that when Garp shows up, Blackbeard is also on Hajinosu. That's one assumption. Assumption number two is that Blackbeard actually wants to engage. As I said, this man is a survivor. He's a coward. He's a weasel. That adds to his character. I'm not saying this to badmouth Blackbeard. I'm saying that is what fits his character. This man doesn't fight tough opponents. He doesn't do high diff fights because he is more of a easy victory. He takes opportunity. He's an opportunist, but he's also a weasel, and he would not willingly. That's why even if he does think, even if he thinks like Rayleigh, hey, I might be able to actually beat the Dark King. Dark King's like, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Let's test it out. Blackbeard's not willing to take the gamble. Blackbeard's not a gambling man. He's not willing to take the bet. So he would not willingly engage Garp for the zeh-ha-ha, for the lulz, for the laughs. He's not going to do that. So I think something else is coming out of this. I realistically, even though it would be cool, I just don't see a way to not only satisfy both Garp and Blackbeard fans on either side of the spectrum, I don't see a good writing decision to actually have them engage. I see so much more potential for them to clash and then something else happens. I just don't see it being a straight up 1v1, somebody wins, somebody loses. I just don't see that actually happening in the story. But yeah, so that's the big spiel. That's basically my spiel on Blackbeard versus Garp. I think Garp, if this does actually happen, I'm going to say mid to high diff, Garp would win. But there's a lot of factors going into that. There is a lot of factors. But in a straight up, if you look at it on paper, not for plot reasons, not because he's the main antagonist, not because Garp's the mentor character, which he's not. Once again, he's an old man, but he's not the mentor. That goes to Rayleigh or Shanks or somebody else. That Garp is not the main character's mentor. He's the grandfather, but not the mentor. A lot of people are confusing that and using evidence from a lot of other series to say this is a shonen trope, this is what happens in shonen. I'm like, yes, but that is not what's happening here. So, but yeah, that's my spiel on the whole Blackbeard versus Garp, if we were to even get it. But once again, I think that Blackbeard would decide to avoid that confrontation. He'd probably come to an agreement with Garp, give Garp what he wants or whatever, or Garp's going to come in there with a proposal, sort of like Rayleigh did, like, we can do this, or you can do what I fucking say. Something like that, right? You never know. Like, Garp's going to show up to Hajinosu like Gekko Moria did, except successful. He's going to lay waste to it and not be fodderized or whatever happens. So, there is that. Now, the last part that I want to bring up, is that's all the information assuming the on-paper stats, right? And everything that we know about both Garp and Blackbeard going into a 1v1. Now, there has been... I wanted to talk about this at the end of the video. Now, that's the end of the video, and I just don't have another place to talk about this section, so this is going to be the little bonus section of the video. This is going to be the Garp slander section from the community itself. Let's get underway with this. So the slander over Garp has been going on for over a goddamn decade. I've been in this community for over a decade, so I know. People, for some reason, believed everything they heard about Silver's Rayleigh. They believe everything they've heard about Roger. Everything they've heard about Whitebeard and Shanks, with no feats to show for it. No feats. And then, all of a sudden, came along, for some reason, Garp became not the GOAT, but a scapegoat. The original term for GOAT, in fact, before it was greatest of all time in sports terms. The goat used to mean the sacrificial lamb or the scapegoat. It was the one left hung out to dry. For some reason, everyone else, with only words given to us, bet on Kaido before we even saw Kaido. Bet on, Whitebeard is the strongest man in the verse. Given to us, we accepted it. For some reason, the Garp slander. People believed, no, he wasn't a real rival. He was like the Smoker to Luffy. That was the big comparison. He's the Smoker to Luffy. Yeah, when they were younger back in the day, he nearly had him back like East Blue Roger. But Roger, King of the Pirates, nah, Garp didn't fight him. Garp was way down here. With no evidence, with absolutely no evidence, and only evidence against that, people believed it. There was a strong section of the community that took that as gospel. Why it started? How? I have no idea. Garp's, as far as I know, Garp's a likable character. He's fun. He's powerful, he's cool, he's funny. There's no reason to actually... I think some of this dislike came from his decision to not help Ace. And there is a lot of contention for that. Sure, he's a flawed character. Granted. But to take away his written down feats and not believe what's been told to us, believe everything else you're told about a character, but don't believe when it is relevant to Garp, seemed very selective to me. And granted, it took a long time for people to believe. The big thing was, people believed that one of his two epithets, his first is the fist, because he, of course, fights with his fist. The second was the title Hero of the Marines. People assumed, with no evidence, that he got that title for the capture of Roger. And that's the reason Garp is the Uncle Sam of the Marines. We choose you. I want you. You know, that idea. With no, once again, zero evidence, and that was also proven wrong. People assume that no, Roger turned himself in and Garp got all this glory thinking that he defeated the King of the Pirates, and that's why he's lorded, and he's actually not that powerful, and he's not really a rival, even though we got Roger in his cell when he told him about Ace, talking to Garp, saying, you and I have tried to kill each other 1,000,000 times already, so I trust you like you're one of my crew, and it's that kind of idea. People tried their best to go to every translation. Like, oh no, you're reading the Viz. No, you got to read the scanlation. Or, oh no, you got to check the anime and the Japanese subtitles, not the English dub. It was wrong, and all this stuff, right? People were trying their damnedest to suit their argument that Garp was not Whitebeard Roger level in his prime. For some reason, the slander was real, and they tried to orchestrate and manipulate any line saying that Garp was powerful into that hearsay. They tried their damnedest. And then it came out. That we had not only one piece of information, but two. Using the voice of the King of the Pirates once again, when Roger was in his prime, free as a bird, before he was actually the king, but right before his big journey. He claimed in the Odin flashback, this wasn't even a fight. He goes, I want a challenge, bring me Sengoku or Garp. So now twice Roger has said that this man is a challenge, that Garp can fight the king at his prime. So, and still people discounted. And we got another piece from Sengoku himself. The big thing, so the reason he got the title Hero of the Marines, and the reason he truly isn't an admiral, that he stayed a vice admiral, because that was another slander. He got the Hero of the Marines from the capture of Roger, and that wasn't actually true. He never captured Roger, he never defeated Roger, so the title Hero of the Marines is a lie. The other thing was, he chose not to be an admiral because then he'd actually have to go and strut his stuff, and he knows he's not as powerful as the admiral, so he always said, I want to pass it over, and he's actually hiding. He's like an Usopp, sort of character. For some reason, that's how people portrayed Garp. But then we got the Hero of the Marines title actually came from an incident where he teamed up with Roger to beat every current Yonko. Garp and Roger teamed up to defeat no less than Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, Shiki, Silver Axe, Wang Goddamn G, Captain John, and a slew of others, I'm sure, along with Roxy Zebek. And that's how he got the God Valley incident, years before he captured Roger, is why he was entrusted with the title Hero of the Marines. And then just to add a little bit more salt onto the wounds of everyone who was a naysayer and a slanderer of Garp, Oda gives us one more piece of information. The reason he actually refuses to be an admiral isn't because he's not powerful enough, and was for decades. It's because he would have to be directly under the orders of the Celestial Dragons, the Tenryobito, and he fucking hates them. And he has no desire to ever take orders from them, ever. And the only reason they let that go and they don't kill him is because he's the fucking poster boy. He is the Uncle Sam. And the royal family, the presidents do not discredit Uncle Goddamn Sam. That's detrimental to your own goddamn government. They can't. He's untouchable because he's Garp. He's the hero of the Marines. And it took this long for the slander. The slander has died down since, because we got these. But before the God Valley incident was told, before the Wano arc, right up till Whole Cake, during Whole Cake, the Garp slander was way up to here. Before the people said all the reasons, he's more of an Usopp, that's why he doesn't want to be an admiral, because he'd actually have to show, stuff. He uses his age as an excuse, but he's actually not that strong. He got the title of Hero of the Marines because he captured Roger. All this crap, all this shit was thrown at Garp for some reason in the community. And finally, Oda must have had enough, because he gave us not one but two definitive. He had Sengoku and Roger himself both state Garp is a fucking badass. Within chapters of each other. It was goddamn beautiful. So I'll check my notes here, but I think that's the end of the history lesson. But I just wanted to give a little history on the slander of Garp's character, which I believe, I'm not sure when it started, because it's been going on many years, but I think it all boiled down to when Garp didn't help to save Ace. People really hated Garp for not assisting and not helping, and as a result, because they hated his decision and didn't care for his reasoning and his excuses, people wanted to slander him because they didn't like that. So instead, and for some reason, they wanted to attack him in any way they could. I think that's why it started. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have the whole history of the internet, of 15 years on the internet right in front of me, but that's the only reason I can think that we trust everything that's told to us in Viva cards, on paper, every panel. We trust it all without seeing feats, but when it came to Garp, no, we haven't seen it, so it didn't happen. Garp is trash. And that's what a large section of the community believed for the longest time. Haven't heard from them in a good long while since Wano, because, for all the faults of Wano, there's definitely one thing no one can deny. Shut up the Garp slanderers, that's for damn sure. So, and I found like this video was the perfect time here at the end to talk about that history of Garp, how Garp went from he's really, really cool, he's Luffy's grandfather, he's hero of the Marines, to being completely slandered by the community, and now he's back on top. And now we're going to see him actually actively do something in the community. Garp fanboys, we're going to be eaten. We're going to be eaten good, I feel. We really are. Because as I said, I don't actually see a winner or a loser in a Blackbeard versus Garp clash in any regard. I don't see a full-on battle where one comes out the victor. I just don't see it. Storytelling-wise, it wouldn't really make sense for that to happen. Oda could subvert expectations, sure, but I feel like this is still a very shonen-esque story, and there is a formula that sort of has to be followed. So, either way, let's just jump over to final thoughts. So that was the slander section. Let's just jump to final thoughts, and we'll end the video. Final thoughts? I pretty much said everything I really wanted to say. As I've already stated, my final score tally on this one is that Garp wins out in hockey, and Devil Fruits aren't really going to do much to the man who already fought against one of the fruits, and the other one's not really going to do shit to him. So I'm going to give Garp the W if it actually ends up going down. The only reason I can see it not happening, once again, is because plot. Blackbeard can't lose to anybody but Luffy. It's set up that way. However, that being said, what do you guys think? Why don't you let me know what you think down in the comment section down below, In all honesty, I've seen quite a few jokes on the comment sections. I've seen quite a few people saying, like, we know, like, for example, we know that the Grim Reaper's real because Zoro goddamn well saw it. Garp's actually been dead for years, but Death is too fucking scared to tell him because he wants to keep his skull face. He doesn't want to be sent flying like Blackbeard would be, so Death doesn't bother Garp. He's just like, no, I think I'm going to stay away from him. I'll come back in a few more years. Maybe his power, maybe his Conqueror's Haki will have simmered down by then or something, Death himself is too scared to go and tell Garp that he's already dead. And I've seen other jokes. I've seen like people saying that Garp's got the death flag or whatever. Garp takes that death flag and just gives a punch right through it. He just punches a hole through the death flag and tosses it behind him and just goes, "No, not today, man. I'm Garp. I'm the fist." So a lot of people have said some funny jokes. They said some funny shit, regarding the death flags on Garp and stuff like that. And as I said, realistically, I don't think it's gonna happen. And if it does, probably gonna be off screen, like so many great fights that Oda tells us about but never damn shows us. So I really don't want it to happen, because if it does, outside of just a couple clashes and then it doesn't, and we get to see that, sure, but then something gets interrupted, they don't actually go to a full-out fight. That's the most likely thing, because if there is a fight, Oda's going to off-screen it, and I just don't want it. I don't want it. So that's sort of my final thoughts. But as I said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. I got to do a lot of editing for this one, man. I had so many problems with lighting and re-recording and going off on tangents and making, trying to talk about one thing and talking about something totally different and all that stuff. So this was actually quite a frustrating video to make. It should have been a lot of fun, but it's just been a roller coaster. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope I get a number of views on it. It's all worth the afternoon worth of trouble. So like, comment, and subscribe as always, and don't forget the fourth and most important thing is to drink responsibly, like I am right now, hydrating, with the water. And we'll see you guys back here next time for another One Piece, if we do another One Piece discussion before the next chapter. Who knows? Maybe there's more to talk about. We'll wait and see. But definitely stay tuned for chapter 1072, because I will certainly be reviewing that, just like I review every chapter of the next piece of One Piece. See you guys back here next time. Have a good one.